So they say they love you, but they don't want to have sex anymore. You're in a committed relationship and your partner says that they love you, but they don't want to have sex anymore. And now you're the bad guy. Now you need a deal. Now, no, that's crap. And I am a CSA survivor and I'm a neurolinguistic practitioner now. And I am someone who has discovered the power of the orgasm, meaning mine, and the fact that that's not something that happens in meaningless, distracted relationships, at least not for those of us who have been victimized in the past. This is not a gender thing. This is a childhood sexual assault, CSA survivor, C-PTSD thing. If you have been victimized and sexually assaulted and your mind has grown with a different neural connectivity, everybody's mind grows with a different neural connectivity. That's just the way it works. So I want to address that, but I really want to say up top, this is dealing with the partners and marriage chapter of my book, which is soon to be released, but we're just honing in on all the details. And while sponsorship and endorsement stuff's coming in, and while I'm associating with the Consent Action Network, for whom I am now advocating, I want to talk about sexual fulfillment and survivors of sexual assault, because the deal is marriages end all the time, or they suck all the time if they don't end, or marriages, partnerships, whatever your deal is, or all kinds of problems can happen from shutting yourself down sexually. And the thing is, it seems like all the literature and all the conversation I see in the media focuses on your right to not have to have sex, your right to say no. And I'm like, what about my right as someone who married someone expecting, I didn't marry someone to be celibate. I married someone because A, they met my ethical filters, or so I thought at the time. And B, I like sex, it's been a long time coming for me to not learn to be a performance artist. But still, I still had the desire to have sex for the wrong reasons, because I had C-PTSD and I did not realize until many years back now that I had learned to dissociate because of my early experiences were so violating that any feeling of happy sexual, tension, sensations, the things your genitals do because they were made to do that thing, when that happens to someone whose first sexual experiences were not chosen, then your brain just grows a certain kind of neural connectivity that does not process fully and integrate this experience, these sensations, with pleasure, because you're mortified, because you're a child, because you don't understand, because you're being groomed, because you're being raped, whatever your situation was. Sexually assaulted once is all it takes. This changes the way your mind works. And so you don't know that because it's your mind and it's the way your mind works. So you need people like me who are people like you to wake you up, to tell you what's going on. Okay? Because I need a better world for my family, for my children, for myself. I need women's rights to continue to progress, not regress. We're seeing a regression, and that is unacceptable. I am way older than TikTok and Facebook make me look, check out the throat, right? I have been around for this shit, and I am terrified at the direction things are going. So while we've spent weeks working personally on change with my SPADES program, now that's all rolling to podcast. And my first guest, or one of my first guests, is Joyce M. Short, who is the founder of the Consent Action Network and a childhood sexual assault and sexual assault survivor herself, who has spent decades creating and fighting for creating the Consent Awareness Network, CAN, and fighting to get legislation that says what sexual consent even is. So I talked at length about that last week. I'm not going to go into it that fully this week, but I do want to say, please realize that freely given, knowledgeable, informed agreement is what consent is. And someone in a coma, or a groomed child, or a victimized teen under threat, or a sex trafficked prostitute, these people have not given consent. But by the law, they have. By the law, the way it stands, right now, a person who is trapped in a life of sex trafficking, who gets busted for prostitution, her traffickers bail her out and take her back. We don't help her. That's fucked up. And I'm not supposed to cuss, so that's fucked up. I'm sorry, I can't think of another word to steal. We have to legislate consent to be calm again. So please, go to the consentawareness.net, and there are links right up top where you can call, email, whatever, your legislators and say, I want consent laws. I want a child like me who was groomed and sexually violated and sexually assaulted over a period of 7 years. I didn't fight back. Yeah, I didn't say no. I went the other way. I dissociated 100%. I like to think I'm not promiscuous, but I know that there was a period, because it's come back to me in therapy, and it's all jumbled because my mind didn't want to process it, so it did not. And that's the beauty of the mind and the detriment of the mind. So we have to work with it. It is what it is. Everybody's got their own neural connectivity, and it's based on nurture and nature, both, because your brain is growing. There's not a pattern for anybody. Everybody's brain grows differently. So what you and I have to do is reprogram ourselves. So back to the top. I said, that frigidity is not a reason. How do I say this? A frigid spouse does not love you. That's what I'm saying. And I'm talking from experience here. When people say, oh, I love you, I just don't want to touch you, I don't like the way you act, I don't like what you stand for anymore, I'm going to sleep in the other room, I'm going to take your money to raise my kid, your kid, our kid, I'm going to trap you because you can't leave, you don't want me to leave because the kid will walk out the door. This is like everybody I know. Men, I'm speaking for men. And women, because women, there are some women partners in this life experience, but it's generally the men. And I have 3 sons, and I'm a musician. I play with men, not like that, but I mean, I've done my share of that too. And I'm just saying, using men as commodities is the direct opposite and equal reaction. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction kind of thing. I'm thinking that playing men for stuff, or your partner, if it's not a man, if the roles are reversed, if you have different gender identities, playing someone for stuff and then saying, I still love you, I just no longer want a physical relationship with you, is bullshit. It's not okay. And that doesn't mean you can be mad at someone who feels that way. It means you need to get in their head and figure out what is going on. And if it's you need to understand some things. Like you don't have sexual feelings until you start having sexual feelings. This is why so many people turn to porn. And then I've talked to women and men who get mad when their spouses turn to porn, but they're not having relations with them, you know, and then they're madder yet when they turn to a prostitute. And it's like, I've got all kinds of problems with sex work, and I talked all about that in a previous live stream. But from the perspective of the cheater, are they really a cheater if you are denying them the most basic of human things? That being said, you've got no reason to have sex with someone you don't desire. So what it's all about is reawakening desire. Hopefully there was some that got you into this. If there wasn't, just get out. Just go to a divorce lawyer YouTube channel. If you ever loved your partner and there's still hope and there's disgruntled problems because of a lack of sexual relations, then there are fixes. Like one, if you are a person who was sexually assaulted as a grown-up or a child, you can learn that it's normal for you to dissociate. So here's what happens. When we first meet a person we really like, now I'm going to assume the best in the scenario across the board. I'm saying this is a great, decent person who's just right for you, and you are just right for them, and you care, and you're respectful, and you really like each other, and you feel physical attraction, right? So you decide to take that next step, and you move into feeling something, and now you shut down. But consciously, you know, you can't shut down now. This is the part where you seal the deal. This is the part where the love becomes real. This is the part where you change love in your mind from desire to fulfillment. And you are the fulfiller and they are the desirer. But there was a moment there when you were the desirer. And I want you to remember that. I want you to find that moment again. And you have to touch each other. Because sexual feelings, yeah, you've got kids, you've got jobs, you're tired, you're cross. Somebody wants something you don't. They bought something you don't approve of, whatever. All this shit starts piling on. That is not the center of your relationship. And if it is, you need to change that. You've got to change that. I've seen it bring people down. It's brought me down and my relationships, among other things. Your expectations need to be secondary to the middle. And the middle is the fact that you want to touch them. You want their health. You need to realize that sexual health is beyond somebody getting off. It is actual, we'll do a whole show on that if you want to, but there are lots of statistics as to people can easily be sexually active into their 90s if they have been all along. And what kept them there was the knowledge that this was important and the desire to do it. And I, because of the fact that I was a performance artist for so long, go back over my live streams. I don't have time to explain all of that, but performance artist, I just mean I was in it. I meant love. I did. I was doing the best I could do. But looking back, I see that I was a performance artist. I was always trying to fulfill them. And if you're always at the point, back to the top or middle, at the point where your real attraction for them and your real physical sensations flip into self-disgust because you gave in and you're having sex and you know this is bad and wrong, even if you don't, there's a subconscious thing going on. If you're a C-PTSD sufferer, I hate that word, I was trying to look for a better word. If you're somebody who has C-PTSD from childhood sexual assault, it's just this, I've talked to so many people, I've been working it out, I've got college professors using my writings as required reading because this shit's true. That's the line. But you can find that line. And you can, like, you know, multiverse now. Like, choose to go into the universe where that feeling is okay, where it feels good, where your partner, you want to stimulate them and they will stimulate you back, and you actually can reach heights of physical pleasure, hopefully orgasm, but at least physical pleasure that's so real that you actually want to be there. Because if you don't actually want to be there, it's not real. And you don't have the right to trap your partner. And I've got 3 sons, 3 adult sons now. And they are amazing, and they were raised and trained by me. So I'm thinking they're going to be okay. Or not. Pull. Will they be okay? Or not? Raised by me. So far, so good. And I'm saying, I am more angry at women and men a few times. It's usually women who accept the commoditization of themselves to the point that at the point they don't want someone, they stick around for the money. They stick around from the roof over their head. They don't want to get a job. They've got someone locked in. And they just, so then they change. Then they say, oh, love is different. I still love you. It's just changed love. It's different love now. Now, I don't want to touch you. I don't want to sleep with you. I'm not going to come near you. I still want you to pay the bills. I still want you to take me on vacations. I still want you to pay all the tuitions. I still want to live in the same house. Oh, now I don't want to live in the same house. Now you get to pay for my other house. Now we get to get divorced. Now I'm going to take alimony. It's like, this is not love. Women and men, be responsible for yourselves. You should not be in a life that you cannot take care of yourself. And if you don't love someone, don't use them as a cash fucking cow. I'm not even going to try to correct that one. I'm going to say it again for editing purposes, not to be edited, a cash fucking cow. No human being should be turned into a cash fucking cow. And the reason why this happens is because it's a reaction to the patriarchy. So it's a natural reaction. Women need a way out. So we created a way out. And now marriage has turned into a business. Marriage is supposed to be about love. So you know what we do? We put ruffles on it. We ice the cake. We put diamonds on it. We turn marriage into a sugar-coated, lovely, lovely, supposed love fest. But the cake is agreements, insurance. If you screw me over, I'm leaving. I don't have to have sex with you. Screw off. I got my kid. Leave me alone. Or I'm going to cheat on you and be an asshole and you'll be destitute. And marriage needs reworked. And I am all for married. And I am married. But not in the legal sense. I mean, I'm not stupid. I have integrity. And I sure as hell, having been married and divorced 3 times, learning that lesson, I sure as hell would, and that is not to say one would not get married. You know, when it becomes a tax or legal advantage, I'll seal the deal. But don't worry about pieces of paper. Love is real. Love is intimate. Love is physical. Love wants you to feel good. Love wants to suck your dick and eat your pussy. That's what I'm saying. I'll put that on the end so we can edit that right out. But that's the God's truth. And if that's not what's going on, then you've got a construct. And you should get out of that construct. And you should not milk the other person in that construct because you got in it. That's what you did. Put on your big girl and boy pants. And take care of yourselves. And only get together because somebody smells right and tastes right after they've beat all of your ethical walls, all of your boundary, all of your life fit walls. Only then do you engage in physical relations. And then I better see fireworks. And I want to see them at least every other night. You do you. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Can never find the end on it. Yes, and